Welcome back. We're still watching DayBreak on this 5th day of May 2025. And we're getting to the conversation of the events of the weekend. So several leaders were in Wamunyoro in Madeira constituency, Nyeri County, hosted by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And at the same time, President William Ruto was leading a delegation of leaders within the current administration, most of them also coming from the region, and they had various messages for people that are criticizing the broad-based government. I want us to start by listening to what the leaders in Wamunyoro were saying about the future of the country.
Tutaweka kura zote pamoja. Huyu Kasongo akuwe one term. Na mimi natangaza hiyo nikiwa hapa Wamunyoro. Sisi watu ya mlima ndio tulikupatia 47% ukakuwa rais wa Kenya. Hii mlima hii ilikufanya wewe kuwe rais ndio itakupeleka nyumbani.
And anyone who's willing to bet their money on our differences, tutakuja kusambaratika mahali. Don't put a big bet because you lose your money. We are not going to disagree. We will always agree and find a way. We will make the sacrifices that we have to make.
Na tunajikomboa ndivyo tuwe na serikali inasimama kwa msimamo wa kisheria, inafuatilia sheria, inalinda haki za kila Mkenya bila kubangua.
All right, talking about unity of that group of leaders at the same time. Kujikomboa. I'm trying to find the translation to English of Kujikomboa. I'll find it, I promise you. But before I do, the president was in Migori, hosted by different leaders, including the leader of minority of the National Assembly, Janet Mohammed. Watch.
Does not bring competition ambayo haina maana, because our agenda is bigger than politics. We want to change the lives of our people. That is what you have made up your mind about.
Vile tulikubaliana na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. We must work together. We must hold hands together. And I want to give you my assurance as the party leader of UDA and the leader of Kenya Kwanza that the commitment we made to ODM to work together is not going to be working together to compete against one another.
And as that was happening, of course, leaders in the presence of President Ruto were also attacking those within ODM that are of a different opinion. Senator Oburu Oginga calling out the governor of Siaya County, but the governor himself and a member of parliament were also saying a few things about the party. Watch.
We must talk on account of the covenant between ourselves. There's the covenant between the Lord and us, but there's a covenant between ourselves, which is in the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
When we say you are assigning with the wrong government, we are not stupid. We are not stupid. Serikali ambayo inaua watu huwezi kunafanya nao kazi.
So that's just an excerpt of the political hit. I will begin with you, Mheshimiwa Kibagendi, because it looks like the political space is now getting defined. What was it like to be there? Well, I'm told that Kujikomboa is to liberate. Finally, I found it. I promised. Mheshimiwa Kibagendi, yes. What was it like being?
First, I think I should start from appreciating the people of Kisii and Nyamira counties for the exceptionally warm welcome they gave Dr. Fred Matiang'i when he had a homecoming on Friday. It is from that, after that meeting that Honorable Matiang'i was invited to Wamunyoro, and I thought it was necessary and prudent to accompany him to Wamunyoro. While at Wamunyoro, or even on my way, I realized that what Kenyans feel across the country is that we actually need change. We need transformation. We need to get out of what we are in right now into something new or into something different. And this is happening because Kenyans have lost hope in government. And what the speakers were doing at Wamunyoro was mainly to rally especially Mount Kenya region and other regions that had leaders present there to come together and push for a common agenda to liberate this country from the unfortunate governance of this Kenya Kwanza regime that has, like I said, that is nauseating the entire nation, that is making people become hopeless to the extent you see someone can gather courage to even throw a shoe at the president, which is indeed unfortunate. People that are hungry are unstoppable, and that is what I've seen amongst Kenyans. And when we say people that are hungry, it is not just hunger of the stomach. It is also because of the depleted ideas amongst especially the Kenya Kwanza people. They don't know how to handle Kenyans. Other than the deals that they are cutting, these people don't seem to understand what Kenyans want, while they really promised to give them a heaven when they were campaigning. I was actually part of their campaign team, and what I saw at Wamunyoro, or what I heard, is that we need to come together. We need to unite. And let me tell you one thing. You know, yesterday, while at Wamunyoro, one thing stood out, especially from Honorable Justin Muturi. There's something that he mentioned that is a demonstration of incompetency in government. Do you know the Ministry of Trade has had 5 cabinet secretaries in 2 years? That means the president doesn't know who is best for that position.
There is Moses Kuria.
We've had, that is where everybody has been going through.
Rebecca Miano?
Yeah. And I even don't know who is there right now. What I'm trying to demonstrate to you
but not 5, they're not 5.
Is it 4?
I want us to go on the 5. So
no, let's work with 4.
No, Moses Kuria.
So there's a lot of lies in Wamunyoro.
No, there was not like, actually, it is probably, I'm probably the one, I'm probably the one who has made that mistake.
So
but
Moses
it is 4.
Rebecca
It is 4.
Miano?
Yes.
Mvoria?
Yes.
And now Kinyanjui?
Yes.
Who's the 5th?
That is the 4.
Okay.
That is unfortunate. In 4 years, even when you're signing trade agreements, the ministers from, or CSS from other countries, even the lending agencies, whom do they know they are dealing with going forward? You see, we have a lot of instability in government in various departments because there is incompetency all the way from the top. And that is what was being spoken about at Wamunyoro, that we have an incompetent government and we need to unite. We need to unite for purposes of getting these people out of power and ensure we have people in power that are concerned with the needs of Kenyans.
You said that you're part of the campaign team. How so?
The campaign team in the UDA, when we were pushing the William Ruto candidature, I was part of that campaign team. And the promises we gave, we have simply haven't done nothing.
Which is your party?
Right now I'm in ODM.
How did that happen?
We switched parties. It is normal in politics. Even William Ruto was in Jubilee that time.
So you supported William Ruto up to what extent?
February 2022.
That's when you shifted now to ODM.
Kuna kitu inaitwa kusikiza ground.
Na sasa, ODM is in a pact with UDA. So where are you?
I'm not in that pact. I'm not what I can call the spirit. My spirit is not part of that pact. I am part of the group in ODM that is saying no. Associating with this government is unfortunate. Association with this government, let me tell you, we had an agreement that they need to compensate the people the government killed in 2023. The young people they killed for demonstrating against the finance bill in 2023. We had an agreement that they should compensate the young people that were killed in 2024. Nothing is forthcoming. You've just asked Honorable Nelson Koech, even if investigations have been complete on how many people were killed, to the extent BBC came up with the expose you saw the other day. We are saying it is hearsay, but we need the government to come clear on how many people were killed, how many people have disappeared that have never been seen since then, how many people have been abducted, and what became of the concerns that were raised by Gen Z. Right. Because the concerns by the Gen Z is what we need to be addressing now, not selfish political interests that people are pushing right now.
Interesting. And we'll get back to your stance on the pact within ODM and UDA, because there's something that Senator Oburu Oginga said that the likes of Orengo are vomiting on us. Why don't they move out and vomit up? Yeah. But Fred, Wamunyoro, that symbol, or what is it called? What semblance of unity? What does it say about our politics moving ahead?
Allow me to say this, Sam. First of all, every individual in this country enjoys their political right to associate, to form parties, to participate, to even run for public office. And therefore, anyone who attended the Wamunyoro meeting have that right, and we cannot deny them that right. But let me start from where Kibagendi started. Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'i. Dr. Okengo Matiang'i came back. Remember, Dr. Okengo Matiang'i was in the previous government before this one as a cabinet secretary. And he was one of the most powerful cabinet secretaries, for that matter, handling the docket of interior. Matiang'i is not a stranger to Kenyans. He has held those positions. He has been, CS education. And at that time, he did very well. And people believed that this was the guy. But it is also true that he has never held elective office, and therefore is coming in as a new person. And that's why you saw Kibagendi trying to, mentor him here and there, telling him, now, Wave, do this. And it's agreeable. But in a land where...
he did that?
Yeah, I saw him do that. In a land where retail politics...
But he's not denying it, so
no, often triumphs policy credential. A land where retail politics often triumph policy credential, you must have the backing of a bigger population if you want to be president. Matiang'i comes from the Gusii land, and he has ambitions to be president. And when he went to Wamunyoro, he went there hoping that he can make friends, and that's why Kibagendi and team took him there. And the way he spoke, if I compare him with some of the people there, I believe he was somehow level-headed, and he said things that make sense. However, the politics of Kenya is unforgiving. People will also remember when he was serving as a cabinet secretary, there are so many things that happened. Some of them were not very good when he was holding that position. So to me, the Wamunyoro meeting...
What policies?
I am saying when he was serving as a cabinet secretary interior, there were certain things that happened that we have seen happening today. There are people who died, some were killed, and we don't know. And as a cabinet secretary in charge of interior, he ought to have told Kenyans exactly what happened at that time. I'm sure with the time, he will tell Kenyans what happened. But that is not my worry now.
Fred, this issue keeps coming up, and I think Mheshimiwa Koech raised it last week.
Yes.
But there's never closure on it, because there are all these amount of allegations.
Yes.
Last week, Mheshimiwa Koech said that the people that are responsible are known. Yet no action has been taken. So how does it remain an issue without resolution? Because and you have a government in office today. As
cabinet secretary, you are accountable and responsible first to yourself and to the appointing authority, who is the president. That regime exited power. But it does mean that the families that lost their lives, the lives of their loved ones have forgotten. They still remember, they're still hurting. So what we are saying, we need to put this to closure. Kenyans want to know all these things that have happened. How do you
suggest we do that?
In the 10-point agenda that was signed between Raila Odinga and President Ruto on 7th of March, one of the issues was rights to peaceful assembly and compensation for rights of victims. I believe that that issue should be addressed there. Past issues that made people die must be addressed. Number two, Sam, go back to Wamunyoro. We are in the season. Okay.
Those issues that you want, rights of victims, there's a government in office today.
Yes, there is.
There are investigative agencies.
Yes, there are.
How do you suggest that is done?
I suggest they move so fast and ensure that those who lost their lives, their families, are compensated, as has been said before. Number two, they protect life from future deaths, because it is unfortunate. There are so many processes of compensation. If the two leaders agreed and the public also agreed that these people must be compensated, let them be compensated.
Leaders, in this case, who?
Raila Odinga and President Ruto, in their MOU, agreed that there must be compensation.
That agreement has no force of law.
If it has no force of law, then there must be an implementation framework from these three gentlemen that sit in parliament to ensure that that happens. That's why they are leaders. So we want to see that happen. And again, Sam, let's be honest. We are in the season of politics. What I saw in Wamunyoro and what I saw in Migori is a clear signal that we are now starting to see the political formations. People will shift camp. Kibagendi here today is in Wamunyoro. Tomorrow, the other day, he was somewhere else.
Wamunyoro, I mean, with Matiang'i.
Okay. Kibagendi accompanied Matiang'i to Wamunyoro. Yes. And therefore, he was welcomed in Wamunyoro. So it means alliances are going to shift. And those who are in opposition today, some of them will join government. Those who are in government, some of them will join opposition. The battle is just beginning. I want to encourage the politicians. As we do all this, we must also play politics of accountability so that we don't go somewhere and make pronouncement while we were in office, we were fearing to say those things. Why were we in the office then? Because if you say things today that I'm now going to reveal, and that's when you hear politicians say some people have become all of a sudden clever. And initially, they were very quiet when Kenyans were dying. The cost of living was high then, they were in office. Kenyans were dying then, they were in office. Roads were bad then, they were in office. Money was being stolen then, they were in office. Today, they come out strong and say, we know who stole the money. We know who killed Kenyans. We know who misappropriated funds while they were serving the same government. We must play politics of accountability. So Wamunyoro was politics, and I wish the people who are at Wamunyoro well. But coming back to Migori, the president, William Ruto, made a commitment, and he said they agreed with Right Honorable Raila Odinga to implement certain things. What Kenyans want to know today, Sam, they want to know how are we going to implement these and how long will it take? Because it is true Kenyans are suffering. It is also true that some of the issues being raised are very genuine. But it's also true that some of the issues being raised are political. So in my view, as a Kenyan seated and watching, I would want to allow the president to work. And I would want him to work genuinely. Okay. I would want him to have an environment where he can work, and then let's judge him after the 5 years.
All right. That's fine. I'll get back to you. Senator Nyoto, because you are in Wamunyoro, I'll get to you, Honorable Koech, because you are there. Help us to understand. We heard it was supposed to be a Sunday service or prayer service. What exactly was it?
Thank you, Sam. Yesterday was Sunday, and of course then before anything, because we are believers, we had to have a service. But it was all about Mother Karua coming to visit Rigathi Gachagua. Because as you remember, several weeks ago, Rigathi Gachagua visited Mother Karua in her home. And so Mother Karua was, returning the gesture. And so the other principals accompanied Mother Karua to come and visit Rigiji. That was the essence of that particular meeting. So we were actually there to just receive Mother Karua because, of course, we have realized that it is in the interest of the region to have all the leaders of the region come together. And so, of course, like I've said, then the other principals accompanied Mother Karua to Wamunyoro. And then, of course, because they are politicians, I mean, before anything else, we had to have a church service. Is exactly what happened. And then politicians being politicians, of course, there had to be some, political...
So what is the essence of the goats we saw being received?
No. That is just, like a cast to a traditional sign or, it's symbolism that, I don't know whether you understand the tradition very well, but it's like, when you take goats, you are now accepted. It's just something traditional, and that is why they are...
Because when Rigathi Gachagua was visiting Martha Karua and saying that it was a reconciliatory meeting, we also saw some animals. Were they goats or sheep?
Yes, both. I mean, that is in our tradition.
Sumerudisha too?
No. You know what happens, Sam? Maybe you didn't grow up in the village. What happens in the village, especially in our region, in our place, is that if I visit you, I will come with what we call a bag, a kiondo. Full of goodies.
Yes.
What happens in a traditional setup when this kiondo is being given back to the visitor, there is something also that is put in that kiondo for the visitor to take back home. I mean, it's just a tradition, and probably you may need to see me behind the tent.
Just carry on.
I teach you a few traditional things. So then, when this was happening, I mean, you know that these principles have come together. And that is why they had to accompany one of their own, and they are coming together, just like was said in that meeting, is about liberating Kenya, because, you know, Kenyans are being suffocated by the president, by the leadership, by the governance of this particular leadership, the policies, and we need not repeat them here. Some that, you know, we don't want to talk about shift here, because we have talked about it many times. Yeah. We don't want to talk about the failing education, failing education system, and you know, all the things surrounding education, about the violation of human rights. So
what solutions did the meeting yesterday offer?
You know, yesterday, you know, some for the principles, for us to sort out the problems that we have, and I think I have told you that in this show again, that we need to get the mandate of people in order for us to implement now better policies. So what we are doing for now is not offering solutions per se. We are trying to bring people, like-minded people together, so that once there is that togetherness, then people can sit down and agree. Because they are agreed in principle that there are very bad things happening in the country, and we need to sort them out. How do we sort out these problems? It is through coming together, sharing of ideas, and of course uniting against oppression, against bad governance, against mismanagement of the economy, against violation of human rights, and all those things.
All right. So, all right, Senator. You know, it's interesting because when all those things you're complaining about were created,
yes,
most of you were in support of them. You actually voted yes in your respective houses.
Yes, about SHA. Yeah. Or about what? Yes, we voted because the promise, I voted, and I'll tell you why. Because the promise was very promising. You know, that poor people...
And the people of Murang'a entrusted you that you're going to make this decision.
Yes, I did not know. I did not vote for a system that was going to cost 104 billion to implement SHA. I voted for the very promising ideas in SHA, that anybody that will not be able, that cannot afford monthly contributions will be covered by government, that government is going to contribute on their behalf, that we are going to take care of, that the SHA was going to take care of critical and emergency care. And so it was very promising. But I did not sign up. I did not vote for a system that was going to operate SHA and that was going to cost 104 billion.
All right, Senator. Mheshimiwa Koech, what do you make of all this development?
I liked the question that you asked, Senator Nyetu, that what solutions are you providing? And you can see the struggle in Senator Nyetu saying that right now they do not have any solutions, but you know they want to be in there so that they can provide solutions. Sam, that the team that you saw in Wamunyoro is a team that has confirmed scandals per capita, the highest confirmed scandals per capita. Number two, that is a team that combined have been in power for 200 years.
What do you mean?
For 200 years. Honorable Kalonzo has been in power for 40 years. Okay, Honorable Karua, 33 years. Honorable Muturi, 28 years. Honorable Matiangi, 12 years. You know, Honorable Muturi, I think about 20-something years as well. And that is a team that is telling you...
Sorry, how are you counting?
Yeah.
40 years for Kalonzo Musyoka in power. What is that?
Elected and as a vice president. That is a combined. As elected as a member of...
When was he first elected?
You want us to count for you the group that was...
As a member of... no, I allowed you to speak. I allowed you to speak.
Mheshimiwa Koech.
I thought when you want to address... When you want to disclose...
Please, Mheshimiwa Koech. When was Kalonzo Musyoka?
Wait, I don't want to dwell on that. Let me just.
No, you said it's 40 years.
Yes.
Just to count.
Kalonzo was in 82, I think.
No, he was first elected in 1985.
1985.
And
so
he,
85.
He last held elective office in 2013.
I said power. Power means.
What is power?
In that space. I mean, he still enjoys a salary.
You're saying in politics, in active politics, not power.
From 1985.
There's a difference indeed.
From 1985
to 2013, that's 28 years.
28 years.
Yes.
Okay, give him 28 years. But even still with that, you still have a combined of more than 100 years in power from the entire team.
What's the point?
Let me say this. This is my point.
Yeah.
There's no fresh idea that is coming from that team. This is a team of people who are desperate. This is a team of people. And there's something that you should have picked from Wakili Okango when he said that, Matiang'i is entering into politics. Politics in Kenya, he will shortly learn, is so brutal that he will not believe. It takes time for you to take a stab as the presidency of this country. I have been in a presidential campaign. It is not as easy as walking into a Munyoro and stepping out with goats. It is very, very serious. For instance, look at how long it took Mwai Kibaki to be president. From independence, after he came back from Makerere, the time he got to be president of this country was in the year 2002. How many years are those? Matiang'i today walks out of Ministry of Interior and believes that, with all the power that he had, less than 2.5 years, Kenyans have forgotten what he did, and it is the right time for him to run for presidency. Muturi Justin, just walked out from several scandals, from when he was a magistrate and being a non-performer in the executive, and wants to walk out and to tell you that he has a solution, and to tell you that he has a solution that he wants to give to this country. Eugene Wamalwa, who Didymus Baraza says did not even employ, not even the Jeshi la Wokovu when he was a cabinet secretary of defense, is now telling you that he wants to be the commander-in-chief of this country. My friend,
surely say
Mythical Inturi, let me just finish. Mythical Inturi, a gentleman who tells you that he misses rooms to get into another person's room. And let me not even go to the other. And scandals of fertilizer. Let me tell you.
Fertilizer is
can I be allowed?
Just hold on.
Fertilizer
that is a team that you want to tell me.
You're telling me, hold it. You're telling me that Eugene Wamalwa, who was CS of defense, could not employ Jeshi la Wokovu. That's what
Didymus says. It's a joke, actually.
No, I'm telling you because Didymus is not here.
Yeah.
There's a difference between Jeshi la Kenya and Jeshi la Wokovu, isn't it?
He's saying he did not even attempt. Forget about even Jeshi yenyewe. Yeah, Jeshi la Wokovu.
So he was supposed to employ so that he's a performer.
I'm just telling you this. It's a joke. It's not.
But you raise it.
It's a joke that is being used. I'm telling you, just to demonstrate to you the kind of jokers.
You raise it in a serious conversation.
That to demonstrate to you the kind of jokers that we have. Sam, this is a joke. This is a joke.
Munyoro is a joke.
If yesterday, the time that was spent was hours and hours just insulting the president. This country needs people who will tell you, this is our agenda. This is the agenda of this team. This is what we want to do for this country. That is what people want. That is a team that did not have a representation of the Muslim. That is a team that I did not see any young person. And that is a team that you want to tell me today, Sam, that it will take the presidency from William Samoei Ruto. I just want to tell you, that is a team that you want to tell me today can beat William Ruto? I can tell you. and these I'll tell you. Let them pick the presidential candidate. That is when you will know that we do not have a serious team out of that.
Let's listen to what Fred Matiang'i said while he had his meeting in Kisii and Nyamira County last week. Watch.
We are a country that is built on resilience. Hizi shida zote tuko nazo hapa, tushikane sisi wote. Siku hiyo ikifika tutavuka hiyo daraja na tutaenda mbele. Mungu atatusaidia tufix hiyo maneno ili nchi yetu iwe sawa sawa.
And there's something he said. He said in his mother tongue or local language, translated, we could be wrong, but our translation is,
I'll help you.
I have been getting your messages and phone calls asking me to go for the top seat. I have come to tell you that I have accepted to go for it. I want you to give me permission to go around the country and look for more friends. So being in Munyoro is part of the looking for friends?
Yes, exactly. And Honorable Matiang'i...
I had one final.
Sorry, just a moment.
So, sorry, just proceed.
What I'm saying, Honorable Matiang'i is optimistic. He's adventurous and open. And Matiang'i has this glittering resume, and he has an impeccable political goodwill across the country. But this can only be translated to votes and being elected as president by him creating friendships beyond the borders of our community. And even Raila Odinga once said, for Matiang'i to become president, he has to reach out to other communities. And that is why he's making friendships.
How do you say that he has political goodwill across the country?
It is across the country. That is,
how do you measure that?
When he said, I've been receiving your messages, you remember during the Gen Z demonstrations, that is when his name came out very strongly. Yeah? And even since then, Kenyans want a fixer. Kenyans want a performer. Kenyans want someone who will actually transform words into action. Because lately, we only have lip service from the regime that we have in power. And we know what Matiang'i did when he was in the Ministry of Information, when he was in the Ministry of Education. You know how he transformed that ministry. And when he was in the Ministry of Interior, and it got to a point where he became Prime Minister, but not with that title, because he was coordinating national government operations across the board. And we know what he managed to do as the Prime Minister we had in between 2018 and 2022.
And part of that is the record that Fred was talking about here.
And what sometimes I wonder what this, particularly the people who lean towards government, and some of them who are extreme sycophants of government, like my brother Koech here, they don't seem to even look at themselves. They forget too fast. When he tells us that those people have 100 years plus, does he want us to tell him about the people in Migori?
Sorry,
including Oburu Odinga?
You're running away from my question, but it's fine. Sorry, let me go back to Honorable Koech. And you just called him an extreme sycophant.
Yes, he is, because let me tell you.
What would that make you?
It is unfortunate. I'm not a sycophant. I'm a realist. I'm talking about the unfortunate government that we have in power right now. And the people who want to step in and correct, they have done that before. Honorable Matiang'i has done that before.
All right. So, Mheshimiwa Koech, you're saying that it took Mwai Kibaki how many years to be president?
From independence.
From independence to 2002. So that's nearly 40 years. Yes. What is the point there?
It is not a joke. It's not just being having a short stint.
He ran for the seat in the executive. 92, 97, and 2002. Yeah. At the third run, he got it.
And I'm sure even Matiang'i was embarrassed yesterday, because this is the same person. Rigiji had said that Matiang'i sent the police officers to undress him when they went to arrest him. and yesterday he was in Wamunyoro. I'm sure he was just trying to figure out how they are.
How many times did William Ruto run for presidency to win?
William Ruto started his campaigns from 1992, like the sort of campaigns for president, just campaigning for someone else, 1992. And he won elections in the year 2022. That's how many years?
No, how many times did he run for presidency? That's
once.
William Ruto only ran for presidency once. But look at the history, he was elected. Matiang'i should just even start from being a member of parliament.
That is where
First of all, so that you know the ropes, Kibagende. Just allow me space, because I allowed you.
You think
I'll give
traditional.
You. No.
It doesn't have to work.
Why is he getting so...
that is traditional thinking.
Is it the kind of anger you find in Wamunyoro?
No, it is not anger.
Because the intolerance
you are so traditional.
From their own boss, you can see the anger when he's speaking.
There is no anger.
Realist. I'm a realist. Just calm down, Kibagende. You know,
I'll get my chance to tell you.
Let me tell you another factor, okay? Assuming even today, and I still like to draw you to the year 2002 when Ford Simeon Achai ran as a candidate for Ford people. My own father-in-law, the late Kipkala, supported him at that time. Let me tell you. Even though he swept the entire Kisii vote, Nyachai swept the entire Kisii vote, he had 32% of the Nyanza vote. And Raila and Kibaki had 62% of that vote. So if you are looking at mathematics of doing politics, this is how to do politics to fail. And this is not the politics of winning. you know, Kalonzo is a career number 2 in any election. So he's permanently a deputy. What does that even mean? This
career
team,
number 2, what is that?
He's a career, he sits there to be nominated to be the running mate. He never goes for the presidency. He's just there to up his stakes, but he will never run. Now, the biggest problem that you will see shortly is egos. Because who is going to run for presidency? Matiang'i has a very huge ego, and he will not accept to deputize Rigiji or Kalonzo. Kalonzo has deputized from when I knew him running. Will he accept again to deputize Matiang'i? So all these that you are seeing now is kupimana akili.
What if they do?
The chips will fall.
What if they agree?
What if they agree?
But there can only be one candidate to run.
Yes.
I'm asking, what if they agree?
If they agree on who?
Yeah.
At that point is when we'll discuss. And I can even show you. Okay. Assuming today they agree on, let me give you a scenario. Assuming they agree on Kalonzo, for instance, okay? I can tell you the next day Wamunyoro will run away.
Now,
I can tell you the next day Matiang'i will run away.
Why?
Because they know they will not win. How will you win a national election when you're going to mobilize some yourselves on tribal cocoons and want to make a stab on a serious national election? Okay. What will be the rallying call? And Kalonzo is
just to fix this country.
Fatigue is checking in on the eyes of many people, seeing Kalonzo perpetually running and not winning. Right. People are tired.
Let me just tell my brother this. You know,
they are patronizing the debate.
You know, when you have people who have depleted creativity, this is how they think. You know, when you assume that because someone has run for MP, for governor, that is when they can be president, that demonstrates you don't understand politics. Matiang'i has a network that he has built over time when he was also campaigning for Nyachai. That time Nyachai was running. And number 2...
He was not campaigning for Nyachai. He was just a manager.
What does that tell you? Number 2, when you asked me here, when he says he's going to build friendships, building friendships is going to look for Nyutu in Mount Kenya, looking for Fred in South Nyanza. That is how you build the presidency.
All right.
The assumption, the traditional thinking of this gentleman, allow me to just finish this. When someone thinks traditionally like this, it means he does not understand what happens in the world. Safaricom is not a company that started in the 60s. But it is doing better than companies that started then. Look at Leicester City. One time, they were going on relegation. And what happened? The following season, they won the league. In Africa, we have had DJs becoming presidents. In Africa, we have had people who, even Rigiji was a one-term member of parliament. And he became a deputy president. So assuming that everyone must go through that process,
and you see the mess
means we will have a problem. We are in a mess because we have a person who lacks experience to be president.
Professor Githuri Kindiki said yesterday about the meeting in Omonyoro, then you can hear from Fred and Senator Nyoto.
Ati wanatuambia hatujui siasa. Ati hatujui kwa campaign. Ati hao ndio wanajua siasa. My friend, Biblia inasema ya kwamba kila kitu iko na majira yake. Kuna wakati wa kazi na wakati wa siasa. Wakati wa kupanda, wakati wa kuvuna. Wakati ya si namna hiyo. So this is the time for work. Hii sio wakati wa kulumbana nani atakuwa sijui kiti gani. Wakati wa ukifika tutanyoroshana na hao wanaume, they will not believe it, my friend.
A confederation of tribal chiefs and failed political rejects today. Your Excellency, as you say, attempting to be now the cleverest people in the country. We want to tell them we shall not be diverted from the focus we have on delivering on our manifesto.
All right, now, they're claiming to be the cleverest people. There should be attribution. Those are words of Mwai Kibaki. It's good to just attribute the origin of those words. I've also been looking at the Bible. Yes, it says there are seasons for everything, but there's no mention of politics and kazi. That's also a creation. Fred, Wamunyoro is happening,
Yeah.
but also the issues that are being raised. Do you think these political formations are going to give us the answers, whether it's that one led by President Ruto and Raila Odinga, or what we saw in Mathira yesterday?
Allow me just 1 second to respond to something that my colleague said. I think every presidential aspirant has an opportunity to tell Kenyans what he wants to offer.
Yes.
And Kenyans should give them that opportunity. And that's why I started by saying they enjoy political rights the same way we do and the same way anyone else enjoys. But I am also a very objective person. There are people like Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka that, in my view, have an opportunity to tell the colleagues that he works with, that he is the best, because, in my view, he stands out among them as experienced, suitable, and capable. So to that extent, the Wamunyoro team should consider Kalonzo as their candidate. Number two, as a Democrat, I also believe that a day in politics is a very long time. The political formations that we are seeing today will keep changing. Sometimes next year, you'll see different formations again. And I agree with Nelson Koech when he made some statements earlier, that some of the people that are in Wamunyoro might not be there when you'll be going for election. It is possible that they might not be there. Some of the people that are with Ruto today might not be with him when you are going to the election. So what is important is, what do the people of Kenya want? The people of Kenya want the cost of living to go down. The people of Kenya want corruption to end. The people of Kenya want a working health system. The people of Kenya want the youth who are unemployed to get jobs. The people of Kenya want security in this country to be enhanced so that you don't kill people by the roadside. That is what they want. The people of Kenya want unity, where you don't wake up and throw a shoe at a leader and then brag about it and make memes. We want a stable country. A stable country.
Who's bragging about it?
We have seen memes going around, people making fun of shoe. You have seen them on social media. That is bragging.
Yeah, but I haven't seen anyone bragging about it.
Let me tell you some. Bragging means...
They're making fun.
You make fun out of something that you know is wrong. I said, even if I don't agree with you, Sam, I don't like your face, I don't like your suit, I don't like your watch, but I should not throw a shoe at you. Throwing a shoe steps on everything, mud, some bad things. When you throw a shoe at somebody, it is the worst form of disrespect. Even if I don't agree with you, that wasn't wrong. So I am saying that what Kenyans want today, they want the government of the day to deliver. Those who are in government, they must deliver to the people. Those who want to form government in the future must demonstrate that they deserve, must demonstrate that there are better ideas that they can give. I was a bit disappointed when Honorable Matiang'i was reluctant. He delayed the policy pronouncement in Kisii, when he was in Kisii. He just said, tutaangalia mbele. If I were him and his advisors, I would have gone fast and said, I am going to address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Kenya will start thinking, hey, here's a guy. But he has not. Instead, he relaxed. It means he's still thinking of what he would tell Kenyans. Then lastly...
When is the election?
The election is in 2027. Yes. And you must start preparing now. Policy pronouncements must form part of your manifesto. You don't wake up 3 months to election to make a policy. No. You must tell Kenyans what you're going to do.
You will fix the country.
Okay. Fixing the country must transform into some policy pronouncement that we are seeing.
All right.
Kibagendi, I agree. But let me just finish by saying, I strongly believe that whatever the leaders are saying should make sense. What President Ruto is saying should make sense. What Wamunyoro and team is saying should make sense. Kenyans are now waiting for the finance bill. That finance bill will generate a lot of debate that will transform the lives of Kenyans. We want to see people trying to fix the problems that are currently affecting them. When you are hungry, Sam, you don't say, me, I'll eat next year. You look for food now and eat if you're in a position to. So the people in Wamunyoro must tell us, what are they going to fix? How? The people in government are already saying what they're going to fix. So in my view, I want to urge all the leaders, including those who are seated here, because some of them here are members of the National Assembly and Senate, they have to address the issues of concern to the people.
Okay.
They have to do that.
Fred, you say you don't say I'll eat next year, right?
Yes.
Have you seen the headline of the Standard today?
It says Ruto shoot down.
No, the other one.
Which other one? Our turn to eat. You know, Sam.
He's a gutter. He's not a...
I have followed this paper for a very long time.
Yeah.
And they have been...
You worked for...
They have been very creative in terms of how they do their headlines of late. And that is creativity.
Okay.
But you know,
so
creativity...
I was just thinking about what you said about eating next year and eating today. And the paper says it's our turn to eat. Senator... I want us to listen to something that is to do with leaders that came from the Mar region. They met the president at State House. Watch this.
Liana ya kwamba hatutaki siasa ya ukabila, chuki na migawanyiko. Jameni, mkubali kama Wakenya tuungane, pia na nyinyi mshirikiane. Tusiwe na migawanyiko, viongozi hata kama ni kuomba kura, tuombe kwa taratibu.
Tunataka kuangalia mbele, tunaganga yajayo. Tunaangalia mbele, tukisonga na wewe.
Sisi tuko kwa ground, we are going to support you 100%. Hii kazi ya kubaki nyuma tumesema hatutaki. Na kwa sababu nimeomba kabisa kwa heshima, I came here purposely to assure you.
All right, that is Senator Ledamo Olekina. You know what his thoughts were slightly under a year ago. But at the same time, Fred Matiang'i is promising similar unity. Watch.
Tafadhali wananchi, tukianza kuzungumza vile tunazungumza, muzingiwe na hizi porocho za huku kuambiwa huyu ameenda hivi, huyu anafanya hivi namna hii. Tuko tayari. Kazi ya kuongoza nchi na kazi ya kuendesha nchi sio kazi ngumu. Watu wengine walikuwa wananiuliza eti wewe tunataka urudi kwa public life. Are you serious? Nikasema there is no time in my life I've never been serious. Because wakati nilikuwa Minister for Education, mimi kazi sio shida kwangu, na kwanza kazi ikitajwa mimi nachangamka sana.
So, Senator, help us here, because these calls of unity, we'll continue to hear them quite a lot. When Ledamo Olekina was running for Senate in the last election, in the same party with Anthony Kibagendi here, who says the ground was saying different things from what he had thought earlier, they were still talking about unity. And eventually it turns out these political leaders, including yourselves, are just fighting for your selfish interests. How do you, because yes, you have ambitions, how do you marry the ambition with the interest of Kenyans to make sure that their lives thrive?
Thank you, Sam. And allow me to just point out that we are losing some of the points that you are raising here. And I say that because nobody has commented about Oburu Odinga's comments in Migori yesterday. Nobody has commented about Kithure Kindiki's comments yesterday. So I think even as we continue, Sam, and I'm not trying to tell you how to regulate,
you can make the comments.
That we also mentioned something to do with the things that are arising here. But before I do that, Sam, we cannot allow Nelson Koech to escape with misleading the public. You remember there is a point in time that he said that the youths that were shot down in Parliament were armed. And that is an outright lie, because no image shows any youth who was armed. The only things they carried were a phone, and I'm talking about June 25 last year, a phone and at most a bottle of water. And so Nelson Koech, being the chair of security in the National Assembly, it's very unfortunate.
It is
for
not
such
my point.
Coming from him.
That is not what I said.
Anyway,
allow me
you'll
to
get
say
your
that.
time. You'll get your time.
Yeah, but don't cast aspersions on what I did not say.
You'll get your time. You know, you also mentioned me.
I am very responsible when I speak.
I want to
say
respond.
That.
So Nelson Koech has said that, and it came from the question that you asked, that what is our solution? And Sam, you know, it has to be strategic in Wamunyoro and everywhere else that we are in, because this government has no idea on how to run the country. country. So when you hear Koech here saying, I like the question you asked Senator Newto, what solutions they have, is because he was expecting, he was waiting for me to share our ideas with him, which I'm going to be very economical with, because they are scouting for ideas from us. And so we have many ideas on how to sort out these problems. And that's why I told you, and I was not struggling, that's why I told you, we want first to get the mandate and then implement. And when the right time comes, we will tell Kenyans what we think we can do. But at the moment, we are pointing out at the problems that are there. Some, a failing health system, a failed education system, and nobody does not know that. And we are saying, you are telling Kenyans that we are being cheated here, that we are having affordable housing. Affordable housing, afforded by who? These are houses that are being put up using government funds, a new, charge in everybody's payslip. And
those are not government funds. Those are Kenyans' funds.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, taxpayers' funds. And there is that housing levy in every other payslip. And when all this is done, the one who is supposed to occupy such a house is still expected to buy that house. How many people will afford the deposits that we have, the cost of this housing? And so we are saying, we know these things, but if Koech had been sent here to come and collect ideas from us to go and implement, I want to tell him, sorry, Koech, we are not going to share our ideas with you. And so we have these solutions. It's not like we are seated here just saying Ruto must go. We are saying Ruto must go because he's a stumbling block to the implementation of good policies that will favor Kenyans.
How are the affordable housing units doing in Murang'a?
Very poorly. And how many are they? I've seen some coming up at a place called Mackenzie. I hear when they are complete, they'll be about, 120 units in a county that has a population of about 1 million people, and they will still be sold. So let's not discuss. Sorry,
what is the status of the progress made?
Well, they are still happening, but I have not seen any complete unit. Okay. I think it's just along the highway. You can see it happening now. When Nelson Koech here tells you that Muturi, who was in Wamonyoro yesterday, that he is incompetent, he's a non-performer. I mean, somebody who has been a magistrate, somebody who has served as a member of parliament, somebody who has served as Speaker of the National Assembly for 2 terms. And you must face this, when you hear somebody in government telling you somebody is incompetent, they are preparing them for slaughter. And everybody that has been kicked out by this government, the accusation has been incompetence. But I would want Nelson Koech, when he comes back, to tell you, these are people who have been occupying, positions that were given to them by an appointing authority. And that is what Kibagedi was referring to. How can a competent appointing authority appoint 4 CSs for one particular ministry in 2 years? Where is the incompetence? If these people you are calling incompetent were appointed, who is incompetent? It is the appointing authority. Because if the appointing authority was competent, they would have been able to use their competence to assess the competence of the people that they were appointing. And so, Nelson Koech, we will not allow you to mislead Kenyans that people are incompetent, that when you want to fire somebody, you start telling them they're incompetent. And look at Koech's view of performance. That Eugene Wamalwa was not even able to employ forget about Jeshi la Wokovu, anybody in the armed forces, because that is how the government that Koech supports behave. They believe that teachers should be employed by politicians and not follow a competitive recruitment process. That is what Nelson Koech here is showing you, that in their government, they believe people should be employed by politicians and not through...
You actually know it happened, that political leaders were used to recruit teachers.
Yes, but is that how it is supposed to be, Sam?
You were chairman of education at the Senate.
Yes, I was.
And what did you do about it?
Well,
It's always illegal then.
Sam, yeah. I never I never supported it then, if it was there. I don't know whether I did not come across any point in time until the woman rep in my county said that they were given 20 employment letters each. That is when it
You didn't get any letters, Senator?
I didn't get any letters. Because I am not supposed to employ teachers. They're supposed to be employed by the Teachers Service Commission.
Okay.
But Nelson Koech here believes, and that is the position of government, because he's a very senior person and very close to the president,
so in essence,
that you should...
In essence, Senator Newton, my question was, still is, with all this and what you've described, how does it help Kenyans, really?
But what we are discussing as what? I mean, what was happening...
What all these political camps are talking about.
Yes.
Everyone is talking about unity, kushirikiana. Some are telling others, if you want to vomit, go vomit out. So all this, how does it help Kenyans?
It helps Kenyans some, and allow me to speak about Wamunyoro where I belong. It helps Kenyans in, first of them, making them know that all is not lost, that there is hope, that the things that are happening in a wrong way today will be fixed tomorrow. So it's very important that we inspire hope in Kenyans, because Kenyans are very desperate out there, some. And so how we help Kenyans then is, first of all, making them not lose hope.
They have to wait for tomorrow?
They have to wait for tomorrow as far as national leadership is concerned, because as you know, Sam, you can only remove President Ruto, who owns all the policies that are, of course, operating in Kenya, until you have to wait until...
So there's nothing you can do
in the meantime, we will try, especially in the National Assembly and the Senate, as Fred here is telling you. But I can tell you, Sam, because it's good to be realistic, and Kibagedi will tell you, it is very, very hard today in Parliament as is currently constituted to have any bill passed if it is not pro-government, because of the numbers, of course. And so, because at the end of the day, anything will have to be voted for. But please allow me, Sam.
So, sorry, we are running out of time.
Yes, I know.
I want to take a look at the feedback that has come to us. It's 1 minute to 8 o'clock. We need to close.
Okay.
The feedback at Citizen TV, Kenya, Sam Gichuku, hashtag to use is Citizen DayBreak. Atanas Mavuti is saying that the grouping at Wamunyoro has nothing to offer to Kenyans, recycling of same politicians who have been in previous governments without tangible results. They just want to get to power so that they can continue cutting deals. Kenya needs new and sober minds. Boville Roy, the team in Wamunyoro sounds like Ruto in 2022, whose only agenda was to defeat Raila with no plan for the country. Wamunyoro team's agenda is to remove Ruto from power, but with no concrete ideas to improve the country. Lilian Sioi, a member of parliament, President Ruto has focused on delivering tangible development and uniting the country through inclusive policies. His administration prioritizes national progress over political theatrics, making him the reliable choice for transformative leadership. She's a woman representative from UDA?
UDA, Trans Nzoia.
Okay. Godi Baraza, the state of political affairs in Kenya is so confusing. A section of ODM members don't agree with the UDA-ODM pact. Again, when you look at the opposition team, most of them do castigate the president while dressed in Ruto's kaunda suits. Wow. Engineer Lazaro, what happened in Kehancha and assassinations of an MP in broad daylight calls for VIP protection unit review. Personnel serving in these units should be retrained on new tactics and forbidden from social media chatting in the course of duty. That's our time. I want us to close at that point. Mheshimiwa Nelson Koech, Senator Joe Nyoto, Mheshimiwa Anthony Kibagendi, and Fred Okango, thank you for making time for us. No, up next is Sporty Monday. There's a bit of action, and also to tell you why, as you tell people that they cannot wait to eat next year, and he says they have to wait for the future to have hope, there's also a football team that is waiting for next season. My name is Sam Geto. We'll see you again some other time.